and we are here in this state at the moment. So your pods, your kube system namespace pods are showing. Your pods, which you mentioned in your deployment here, these pods, Nginx pods, are not showing up. Your replica sets are not showing up, right? So we will try and do things which will help us see our replica sets and the pods working, right? So what is the first component that we will deploy to make sure that at least right, at least your replica set starts coming, right? So we'll go back to our documentation here. Yeah, this one, right? And we have completed till here. What we'll say is this component, by the way, is called as kube-controller manager, right? Which is going to do this, right? Which is going to make sure that at least your replica sets start showing up over here in this space, right? Just to remind ourselves, to go back to the picture of Kubernetes architecture, we have the Kube API server running, we have etcd server running. The kube control manager is something that we are going to deploy now, and it is going to make sure that our replica set starts showing up and it is basically deployed as well, right? So what is it that we need to do to make that happen, right? Same thing, we are going to copy our kube control manager.yaml. There's a YAML for it to our K8 as master from the local machine, right? To to the YAMLs folder, right? And we'll copy that to our manifest folder on the K8 as master, right? Okay, before we do that, right? This is the controller manager. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what is there inside the definition of it. It says that the name is controller manager, it is in this cluster, the namespace is kube system, and some of the details with respect to the container, it is running on the local machine and all that. Yes, etc kubernetes controller manager.conf, that's fine. You just have to make sure that your this path of referring to your kube-config.yaml is similar to wherever your kube-config.yaml is there on your machine. So here, let's connect back to this machine and just go to cd YAMLs, right? And if you do an ls minus l here, you will see that your kube-config.yaml is here, and that is the path that this is referring to, right? It needs to read all the configuration related information from here, the kube controller manager. Excellent. So we know what to do now. So we'll go back here and we will start the terminal. Yeah, ls minus l. Yeah, and connect to the machine. Yeah, same thing. cd to YAMLs. Yeah, and put the kube controller manager here. Okay. Okay, looks like it is copied, all nice and fine. ls minus l, you have your kube controller manager here. Excellent. Right, so you have done this, right? And you're going to do the step number G here, right? Kube controller manager is also a pod. So now, by now, I think it will be quite clear to you that all the Kubernetes components are pod, right? etcd is also a pod, kube control manager is also a pod, kube API server is also a pod, right? So what you will do is you will just simply say cp your kube controller manager to your manifest folder. Now, the moment you do that, right, observe your kubelet and observe your watch over here in the third window. Right, I did that just now. See, yeah, after some time, see, your replica set has started coming up, right? And yeah, so this is the replica set has started showing up, but the pods are still pending, right? So it says pod is pending, right? So what Kube Control Manager says is, I'm going to look at the deployment and make sure that the replica sets are created. And I'm going to ensure that the replica set number is always equivalent to what is specified in the deployment. But the actual work of deployment has to be done by another component, right? So which is that component, my dear friends, right? Kube Control Manager is looking at the deployment and making replica sets. Kube API server is what you are interacting with. etcd is the data store. Kubelets are the actual processes where the pods are deployed. What is left here? The Kube-Scheduler. Yeah. So Kube-Scheduler is the component which actually looks at the replica sets and then actually deploy the pods on the cluster, looking at the total number is specified in the replica set in the deployment. In our case, it is mentioned as 2, right? It is mentioned at 2, so that's fine. We can come here and say, all right, the same thing. Open the scheduler.yaml, right? Again, the same thing. Scheduler.yaml has scheduler.yaml is also a pod. It should also be a pod, right? Of type pod. And here also you have to make sure that apart from all the other declarations, the kube config is nicely referred to, right? Both of them are saying that it's running on the local machine. There's a scheduler.conf which already has been created, what it is referring to, and a couple of other things. Okay, so we are going to do the same thing here for the scheduler as well. So scheduler.yaml, and put that into locally, right? Okay, ls -l. You'll see that your scheduler.yaml is also there on your machine right now. Okay, we'll come back to this point in a short while, right? So we've done this, right? The pods are pending, right? Very well. So what we need now is scheduler, copy scheduler.yaml. We've done this and this as well. You will see now that the Nginx pods have moved from pending to the running state. All right, so we'll see that. So we'll copy the scheduler.yaml to your manifests, right? And the moment you do that, just keep an eye on what is happening with the watch. The moment you do that, all right, the kubelet is going to understand it, and immediately yes, it will take a bit of time. See, the containers have started getting created, right? The deployment is still 0. Give it some time, right? Yeah, one of your containers is running. Give it some more time. The second container is also running. All right. Okay. So that is actually pretty much it for this session. We've done almost all the deployments of our manual deployment of the cluster. In the next session, we'll play around with it a little bit, and then we'll move on to the kube ADM way of deploying the cluster. That's what we'll do. So see you in the next session. Thank you.